Is it hard for you to identify any emotions aside from maybe like happiness or sadness? You might struggle with alexithymia. Alexithymia is just a Greek word that means without feeling. So it's not a diagnosis, it's just a symptom. Some people get alexithymia because it's something they were born with, it's primal, but that's uncommon. More often it happens in childhood. Something happens to cause you to not be able to identify your emotions, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get started, if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Missy, and on this channel we get to the root of the issue. We learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. And also, guess what? We have a book. I just released my Anxiety at the Root book. If you struggle with anxiety or even negative thinking in general, like this could be helpful to learn how to train your brain. If you feel like your brain's out of control, this will really help you. I talk about practical tools. I talk about neuroplasticity. There's meditation, learning how to meditate, and there is somatic practices. I really highly recommend you check it out. It is linked right down below, and it's not even that long to read. It's 70 pages, and you can start reading it today. I'm eventually going to do paperback, but you can start reading it today because it is an ebook. So go ahead and check that out. Let's get into today's video. So alexithymia is, like we had said, it's you have a hard time putting words to your emotions. So it's not that you don't feel emotions, that you have a hard time identifying your emotions. So if someone were to ask you, how do you feel? Your first thought would be, I don't know. And it really comes down to you not being able to determine which emotion is what word for it. This is a common thing in people that have autism, but we're not diving into that. We're more so diving into people that have had wounds in childhood that have caused alexithymia. Now, the reason why this is a problem is because if you can't identify and put a word to your emotion, then you don't know what you're feeling, and then you can't attend to that need. We need to be able to be aware of our emotions, because otherwise we're not able to process them. We're not able to give us what we need, and then it does wind up causing depression. So people who are more likely to struggle with alexithymia is people who have depression. You're more likely, you're twice as likely to get depression if you struggle with alexithymia. And if you have PTSD, you may have it. Where this comes from, why you may struggle with this, is it resorts back to your childhood. So you may have been brought up to feel like you're not allowed to have emotions. You were taught to, you were shamed when you had emotions. You were sent to your room. You dealt with maybe a severe punishment. You maybe were shushed. You were ignored. You were dealt with some sort of negative consequence when you had an emotion that your parent didn't tolerate or your caregiver didn't tolerate. And so what that does, that teaches you to repress and suppress your emotions. So you bury them deep down. And what happens when we're not aware of our emotions? We then can't identify them and we don't recognize them. And when you repress your emotions, it's not that you no longer have these emotions, you just don't know what they are. You're not taught to learn and identify what they are, because our parents are supposed to teach us what our emotions are. So it really comes down to a disruption in your emotional development as childhood. You may be someone that actually is really empathetic and sensitive, and not in a negative way, just someone that really feels emotions deeply, but because you were gaslit or you were made to feel like you're too much or your emotions are too much, you then did what you had to do to survive, which is repress your emotions so that way you can continue to have a relationship with your parents. There's a fear of abandonment if you do have emotion. There could also come down to a fear of expressing or having these emotions because you dealt with negative consequences in your upbringing when you did have emotions that your parents were negative about, or gave you some sort of consequence about. So in order to start, so the thing is, you're not broken, you're not unfixable. That's the good news. Brains are very malleable, and your emotions are in there. You just have to learn how to identify them now. The best way obviously is to work with someone, to get therapy or what have you, but I'm gonna give you a little something here that could help you. So what you really need to do is you need to think of a situation, and I'm going to give you situations to think about, and then you're going to feel a type of emotion. You need to recognize the sensation, and then we will name that sensation. And that's how you learn to identify your emotions. And this takes a lot of practice. You have to learn how to become in tune with your body and your emotions and the sensations in your body to be able to learn what emotions you have. So we're going to go through 6 different emotions. We're going to go through 6 different scenarios, and then we're going to teach you what sensations usually you'll feel, and we're going to talk about what they are. So the first scenario we're going to go through, okay, some of them you'll be able to relate to, be like, oh yeah, I already know that. And some of them will maybe be like, oh, I didn't realize. So everybody's different in how they process and deal with their emotions. So first situation, you told someone to not call past 9 p.m. and they did it anyway. What sensation do you feel when you imagine that scenario? You may feel your fist clench, you may feel, your chest tighten, you may feel your throat get tight, you may feel hot all over. That's anger. The reason for anger is because you feel like you need to fight, and you feel like your boundaries have been crossed and disrespected, and so you want to protect yourself. The next scenario is you didn't get the promotion that you would hope that you were going to get, like it would change your life, and you really were banking on this to happen. Pay attention to what you feel. You may feel heaviness, you may feel like you want to cry, you may feel a knot in your stomach, you may feel again, like your throat is getting tight, you feel down, like you feel like weight is on you. That's sadness. That sadness comes because there is a loss or there's a change happening in your life. So that's how you can be able to pinpoint your certain emotions. Like anger, you know, like you want to protect yourself, you feel like you're being treated unfairly. Sadness is when there's a loss or a change. The next is a person said they would go on a date with you. You may feel giddy, giggly, your face may smile, you don't even mean for it to smile. You smile without thinking. You may feel like some people feel electricity, they want to just jump and dance. That's happy. You feel happiness obviously when you feel like you're achieving things in life, you're going up in life, you're happy when you get the things that you desire. Happiness is not a lot of people, it's humans' primary thing for why they want to do something. Is most people, they want to be happy and they strive to be happy. So you know, if you got something you desired, you're happy. The next one's a little bit more complex, but you saw someone hit someone else with their car and then they ran off. You may feel like a gross sensation in your stomach. You may, like, your face may like cringe. That's disgust. That's ew. That's gross. That's gross behavior. I'm disgusted with that person. The reason for disgust is we have evolved to have that, so that way we stay away from certain things that could hurt us or behaviors. So you're feeling disgust for that person because you're like, I don't want to go near that person and be around them because they're gross and they can do gross things to me that I don't approve of. So if you see a behavior that you don't like, you usually feel a disgust for it. The next one is your best friend canceled on you, but you went and saw their story on Instagram and they were going out to the clubs with somebody else. What sensation do you feel when you think about that? You may feel that this kind of similar ones of sadness. You may feel a heaviness, you may feel a knot in your stomach, you may feel a sensation of just a feeling destroyed. That's hurt. Someone has done something to you that has caused you pain, or a situation has happened to you that has caused you pain. Your feelings are hurt by something that has happened. So if there's ever a situation where you feel like someone has done something to you, or a situation that has happened that makes you sad, you may be feeling hurt. I think it's important to be able to identify hurt, because I think a lot of people don't, when they struggle with alexithymia, is that they don't understand when they are hurt. They may feel something, but they're not sure what it is. But it really is hurt. Like, I'm hurt that this thing has happened to me. Then the last emotion we're gonna go through is you imagine that you have a date with your partner, but then also your parents ask something of you to help them with something. But Also, you find out at the end of the day that you have a project that has to get done by the end of the weekend. What sensations do you feel? You may feel tightness in your chest. You may feel like maybe it's a little hard to breathe. You may feel like you want to escape and run away. You may feel like even your legs feel like they want to like run away. You may feel a little explosive, like you may have an urge to yell. You may get a little short with people. You may act a little frazzled, like where you're, you know, dropping things, or you are having a hard time getting yourself together. That's overwhelmed. That is when you feel like too much is on your plate and you feel like you can't take all of it on. It's important to be able to identify when you're overwhelmed, because that means that you are taking on too much and it's going to eventually cause you stress or even depression, depending on the situation that's at hand, and you're spreading yourself thin, and you need to relax and take it slower and let go of some things that maybe you can't take on. Wait, should I do a bonus one? Let's do a last one. Let's throw it in there. Okay, let's imagine a scenario. Let's imagine that you're in a crowded area and it is so crowded and compact that you can't find your way out. You may feel like you can't breathe. You may feel like you need to punch yourself through the crowd. You may feel like your heart is racing. You may feel like electricity is running through your body. That is anxiety. That is the fight flight sensation kicking in to say, hey, I need to either run from the situation or fight it. Anxiety is an important emotion to have because it does save us, it saves our lives in certain situations, but it can be unhealthy if you have it constantly, which I talk about more in my book, which I would highly recommend you go check out. So these are just a few scenarios and sensations you may feel. I hope that kind of dips into it a little bit and helps you kind of recognize some emotions you may feel. But it's much more complex than that, and it takes a lot of practice to recognize and identify, and you really just want to start to really get into it and try to identify your feelings. Journaling can be so helpful and beneficial. Every time a situation happens, write about the situation, write about the sensation, and then put a word to it. And there are emotion diaphragms that kind of go through the different emotions, because like sadness and hurt and despair and all those things, those are kind of linked as emotions. Then happiness and excited and joy, those are linked as emotions. So it can help to have more descriptive words for your emotions for you to be able to identify them. What do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. And don't forget to check out my anxiety book. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. Let me double check again. I don't want to say it wrong.
Alexithymia.
Alexithymia. You may feel a little angry. Word circles, word diaphragms